I'm gonna shit. Started yelling pulled down her pants and squatted and tried to shit on the patio.
Oh my God.
On the video, it's our front man on the phone, like calling the cops and like looking over at her, but like never, going out of his position. She's just yelling, trying to. It was amazing.
Welcome to $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast. We're struggling this week, boys. It is a week after we've got that SummerSlam hangover. We're the weather here. I know. I just had like a brain fart. The weather this week here in Wilmington, North Carolina, has been very dreary, and in turn has made us a little slow go this morning. We're starting at, what time is it? It's 11:22. We were supposed to start at 10 a.m. It's been tough. It's been a wild week. Tolbert can't remember half of it.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, he remembers. Mike started up a new sourdough starter, and Mike.
Same starter.
Same starter, Mike.
Different sourdough bread.
All right, explain the nuances of this.
And here comes tips from Mike.
This $2 bake is back.
It's more don'ts than do's. So it was Saturday. It's been wet and rainy, so I thought I'd make another bread. So yesterday before breakfast, I activated my starter and got it loaded up and everything like that.
How do you activate it?
You add flour and water.
Oh.
Yeah, and you stir it around and then let it sit and get all bubbly. So this is where so this time my bread baked all the way through. Very delicious, excellent crust. A little dense, and if you want me to go in depth, I can tell you why I think it was dense.
Tell me, please.
Okay, so
because we've got to like waste like at least 5 minutes here.
Did you overknead it?
No. So actually, so I went
too needy.
I went. You know how they say like when you're trying to figure things out, you should change one variable at a time.
No.
Well, that's what they say that. I changed every variable except for the starter. So instead of kneading it at the beginning, I did the pull method. So you mix your starter.
I used to do the pull method a lot.
Yeah. So when you pull it like Laffy Taffy, every 30 minutes to an hour. But where I think I messed up is I didn't do a float test on my starter. So you're supposed to activate the starter.
A float.
Gotta remember the float test.
You don't know the float test?
Boys. So you get your starter activated. You're supposed to put a little bit in a glass of water. If it floats, it's ready. I didn't do that.
Oh, man.
And so I mixed all my stuff up. And then what the pull thing is you, rather than kneading it like I did for like 10 minutes last time I made bread, this time every 30 minutes you fold it over itself. But the problem with this method is every 30 minutes to an hour, it's breaking down your air bubbles. And so then what you're supposed to do is knead it, or pull it, whatever you want to call it, and then let it sit for like an hour or like a day in the fridge. And then you bring it out, let it reactivate, and like it really balloons up. Whereas I wanted bread yesterday.
You don't want it to break down, like the will to live that you just broke down for me right now.
I'm sorry, man, but you know what? Taste-wise, tasted excellent. Crust was excellent.
Why don't you bring some in?
Because I ate it all because it was so fucking good.
You're not very keto.
No, fuck keto, man. It's all about that gluten.
All right, all about that gluten.
Anyway, I give this bread a 7 out of 10 versus the 5 last time. I'll get it together. Sourdough tips are welcomed. I know Jay mentioned that he had some tips. I see Jay on last Friday, and he just asked how it was going. He didn't actually provide any insight on how to make it actually better.
Well, he's not the bread baker. His wife is the bread baker.
Well, Jay's wife. I would appreciate some tips.
I can get you in contact with
Mike's
her.
gonna quit his job. And
I would just like people to
downtown.
If people could just tweet me out tips
Mike's
on how not to fuck up my bread. But yeah, that's my terrible bread story. That was requested, by the way.
My job
Sourdough tips was requested on the Twitter.
I think it was out of like a joke.
Well,
I don't think that he really expected us to actually.
That was the
talk
only.
about it?
That was the only response we got on the hey, what should we talk about this week?
Oh man, the momentum is dying on that one.
Oh, it's dead.
Oh, it's dead. All right, so other things that happened this week. Football season, high school football season is starting. So I got to go to the yearly luncheon that they do, and it's just a collection of very all the high school coaches get together. They talk about their teams. We have this one guy named Kevin Motzinger. He's notorious for being just a very, I mean, he's well spoken. He knows what he's talking about, but he also is like the living soundbite. So we're interviewing this guy, and this is live on the internet. This is going all over the place, and this guy's like, "Yeah, well, my team this year, man, it can go one or two ways, man. One, I think the boys go out there, they do really well, they perform well, or two, it could go like old Eminem, and he goes out there and our boys throw up their mom's spaghetti, and I just don't know which way it's gonna go." And I'm like sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Keeping the camera still.
I know. You can hear me laughing. Like I couldn't hold it together. He just made an 8 Mile reference. So we had the Jamboree on Friday, but Mike usually comes out and we watch some high school football. I love watching it. It's fun to watch. I mean, it's not the best competition that you can see.
It's one of those like nostalgic things.
Yeah.
If you played high school football, it just showing up and seeing like teams play under the Friday night lights, like you get that feeling again, the little butterflies. You're like, yeah, man, like this is because you know what those kids are going through. You know the experiences they're feeling. You're just really happy and excited for them.
And shout out to my good friend Matt Wall. He actually listens to the podcast, and he's a referee for all those games.
Really? Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to see him get yelled at by one of the coaches this year.
He's been doing it a long time, yeah. And he's in radio as well.
Really? Mm-hmm. So he probably critiques all of our terrible things that we talk about.
Like our terrible sound this week.
Yeah, well, so once again, I tried to get the soundboard fixed this week. Apparently they are out of stock of the part that I need to fix the soundboard. So once again, we're on the crappy audio train. But hey, don't worry. It'll be fine.
Probably means that a lot of those pieces are breaking for a lot of people. So maybe I should take back the critique I gave you last week on breaking the board.
Yeah, Mike's like, why don't you, get it like expedited shipping? I'm like, no, that's like $30 more that I don't want to like pay for. You know, it sucks like having to pay for.
Are you saying we need some sponsors?
We need some sponsors. Are there any sourdough like major corporations that could come in and like swoop in and tell us how to do it?
Oh man, we could try to get some local sponsors maybe.
I think we've tried that and we've not succeeded.
No, we just shut them down.
Wait, what? Who have we tried?
We shout out whatever Wilmington all the time. That hasn't worked.
Yeah, I don't think that they're in the position to sponsor us.
Can you just like throw us $30 for an expedited soundboard?
No, because you would spend it on beer.
Well, right now I'm drinking your free beer, so I guess I wouldn't.
Oh my god! All right, so to get into professional wrestling. SummerSlam was last week. It was a very long and arduous process to get through it. We got to see Dolph Ziggler
get speared multiple times by Goldberg.
That was probably the second best thing of the night.
Completely devastated, yeah.
How sad was it? The two best things of the night were not actual wrestling matches. It was
an entrance by Bray Wyatt, a.k.a. The Fiend, and it was Goldberg completely destroying Dolph Ziggler.
I will say I did enjoy the Brock Lesnar Seth Rollins match. It was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So tell me, what did you guys think about The Fiend? How do you think that that's going to translate into viewership? Maybe translate into, I know merchandising is going to be a big deal with The Fiend because now they're monetizing like even his mask, like his lantern and all this stuff. I sent it to a friend. I sent my friend Michael Jordan, who we've talked about on the show before. I showed him the clip of the entrance. He thought it was cool from his perspective, but it was something that he didn't want his kids to see. Like, what do you think? He thought maybe it was a little too intense for his kids. What do you guys think about, like, the future of something that arresting and visually for The Fiend?
Well, do you want to talk about why it was arresting?
Yeah. Talk about it.
It's definitely the severed head. It's the severed head lantern that's going to cause so much controversy, especially with the TV PG rating. It's going to be very hard to.
I think that keep that going. So was
TV.
Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We talked about how excited we were that SummerSlam was going to be TV 14, and
it was last week,
and it was the only TV 14 thing about it was the severed head lantern.
Yeah, how crazy is that? That was the only thing that made it TV.
But I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see some blood.
The whole idea and like the depth of it is pretty freaking cool because obviously the Fiend killed Bray Wyatt and then used Bray Wyatt's head as a goddamn lantern.
As a gosh darn lantern.
Yeah, we're TV 14 right now.
Are we? Because we make dick and weed jokes all the time.
So, I mean, like, you look at it, it's pretty neat. It's got its eyes sewed up, and it's got this lantern. When it first comes out, I was like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. He wrestles in that mask made by Tom Savini, and that mask is awesome.
Well, to speak on the entrance, too, that song is, like, top 10 on iTunes right now.
Really?
Is it really?
Badass.
Yeah, the remixed version of his regular song.
Yeah.
It's called Let Me In, man. It's awesome. I don't know who sang it, though.
Orange Theory.
Orange Theory.
How did you know that? I thought that was a fitness place, Orange Theory.
No, it's an actual band.
Are you sure?
It's Orange something.
I don't know if it's Orange. I think Orange Theory.
You owe me a beer if I'm right.
You're drinking his beer.
You've been stealing my beer the whole time.
You're drinking his beer right now.
All right, I'm looking this up. Talk amongst yourselves about the intricacies of the mask as I try to find it.
Man. It's scary, and I think it kind of touches on the Undertaker era. You know, we haven't had that really scary kind of send a chill down your spine character in a long time.
And they've mentioned through like the insiders and stuff that they're going to try to make it that Undertaker-esque kind of entrance and things. Yes. So there was no Fiend or Bray appearance on Raw or SmackDown this week to kind of keep it
special.
Yeah. Like you don't want him to like come out every Tuesday and just I don't know
destroy
fuck around
everyone.
and shit. Yeah, like
well, you want it to kind of be a surprise when the lights start going out. You're like, oh no, that's Bray Wyatt.
I will say, so I've mentioned a couple weeks ago that like Michael Cole just talks over the Fiend all the time, and it just really takes you out of it. Yeah. This time, they didn't say a fucking word, and it was amazing.
Rightfully
like
so.
All of us Cookie's not in his 30s, but everybody else is in their 30s, and we're just like staring at this TV like little giddy kids. Like, what the fuck is going on? This is awesome.
Was that right?
It was Code Orange. You're wrong.
Darn it.
Well, yeah, I was
Orange.
Orange Theory, where you have to pay if you miss your class.
You have to pay if you miss your class?
Yeah, that's how it works. It costs a shit ton of money a month, and then if you sign up for individual classes, and if you miss, you have to pay $20.
That's a motivation in itself.
It's for uppity white women.
I thought that they also, don't they monitor your heart the whole time?
It's circuit training with a fucking heart rate monitor. It's not that novel. It's just, when you make something exclusive, people buy it.
Orange Theory, prove us wrong and sponsor us, and we will go through the process of losing weight, because all four of us need to, and there we go. All right. Wait, go ahead.
One more thing. How do you guys feel about him using the mandible claw?
I like it.
I love it.
Like it? Okay.
Did you see the link I sent you about Mankind and what Mick Foley had to say about it?
I did.
Yeah, Kevin Owens throwing stunners around. It's a lot better than that.
The mandible claw is it's like a simple move, but it has a lot of meaning behind it, and the fact that he took it from Mick Foley by doing it to Mick Foley, it's epic.
Do you think that he sanitizes his glove after each one?
Absolutely not.
He has to.
But if you actually read some of the fan theories, so he may be using and he hasn't shown this yet, but they're talking about Sister Abigail for heel, mandible claw for hurt, because he has hurt heel on individual gloves.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But did he sanitize the glove when he sticks it in your mouth?
No,
it's probably like a locker room break joke.
Dude, did you ever wash your football gloves?
No.
Did I wear football gloves? No.
All right. Well, either way,
I did.
I
never washed those things.
Yeah, exactly. And they smell terrible, and that's what makes it hurt even more.
All right, so for our first match of the evening, we have got Big Mike the Greenhorn, and it is a matchup between two cruiserweights in WCW. We've got Dean Malenko versus Disco Inferno. Big Mike, tell me a little bit about your match.
All right, so preemptively, guys, I'm going to say some things that are going to make me a greenhorn. Don't make fun of me like last week.
All right, am I going to have to answer questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have some questions. So it's Dean Malenko versus Disco Inferno, cruiserweight title match. WCW Bash at the Beach, 1996. So going in, I kind of click on the link and I go, man, this date sounds important. Why is this date important? Oh, my goodness. And then later on, they allude to it, and I was like, oh, that's why it's important. So this is the date that NWO actually happened.
Well, yeah, it's the night that
Hulk Hogan.
That Hulk Hogan broke the internet per se, and
so long story short, this match actually doesn't fucking matter in wrestling history at all. So,
no. The match is fine.
It's shadowed by like one of the biggest moments ever. So, but anyway, my only experience with Dean Malenko is a reference to him from Chris Jericho on his 1004 moves or like holds or whatever it's called, and when he references armbar like a million times,
armbar,
like comes back from commercial. Armbar. So anyway, that's I've heard his name before, but that video is pretty much the only reference I have to Dean Malenko.
Well, his father, Boris Malenko, right? The great Malenko. This is gonna make Tolbert like squirm a little bit. ICP named one of their albums after his father, the great Malenko.
Why?
I don't know.
Because that's what they do, man.
Okay.
ICP.
You're the only one that chanted.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Juggalos!
Woot woot! Whoop whoop!
Okay.
Hey, man.
We've got Dusty, Bobby the Brain Heenan, right? And Tony on commentary.
Dusty's commentary on this is great.
I love it. I actually,
so
I have some notes at the very end about how much I love
I
Dusty
didn't
on
realize how
commentary.
bad his list was.
Dude,
it's so
Are you
bad.
kidding?
It's
That's
so
his whole
bad.
thing.
That
I know,
is
it was so
like
bad.
I'm like, man, I wonder who's on commentary. Oh, it's Dusty, and who else? Then I'm like thinking and listening.
There's one part that made me laugh where I don't know, there was some move thrown. I don't want to ruin anything for you.
Well, I think you're about to ruin it, but go ahead.
But Dusty kind of paused. That was a good move.
He doesn't. And the funny thing is, this guy's been in the business for 40 years at this point. Doesn't know a name of any of them.
All right, so well, you guys just shot ahead. So I'll say it. At one point, he goes, "I know the hold by what it looks like, but I couldn't tell you the name of it." Like, I love Dusty on commentary. Anyway, so Disco Inferno is clearly the heel, I would say. Because he's doing a disco shtick in 1996.
But here's the deal. It was a little weird. Like, I think that Malenko kind of comes out like no nonsense and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And he works from the bottom. Disco works from the bottom the whole time. And I was kind of weirded out by the dynamic.
It was
there.
a little odd, but I mean, Disco, he comes out into like with disco themed. He's got what did it say on his butt?
Shake your booty.
Shake your booty. He's got shake your booty on his butt. He cuts this weird, promo about like everybody can dance. He's basically a giant goober.
Yeah.
Malenko walks out. He's super serious, stone faced, looks like a young Bruce Willis. And I'm like, all right, this guy's really about it. Dusty's doing his best to hype him up, and I'm like, all right. Gets in the ring, and then I go, oh shit, Dean Malenko's Tom Cruise.
He's so short.
So tiny. So tiny.
Small guy.
So he's billed at 5'10".
Yeah.
So you know
he's not 5'10".
So you
No
know
way. No
he's
way.
like 5'7".
Yeah.
5'6". Like, guy's tiny. But whatever.
He could be in the WLC match.
Close to it. Actually, I watched Tolbert's match before this, and I thought that exact same thought. I'm like, yep, there you go, Dean. Anyway, so it starts right off. Dean punches Disco in the mouth, and one of the commentators goes, "Slap the disco ball right out of his jaw." And
I think it was the brain.
It was a good line. So it starts brawling outside the ring, gets back in. Dean's keeping it tight. Like, clearly Dean is the wrestler and the man of 1,000 holds. He gets a huge brainbuster, I think it was.
Yeah, like in the first 2 minutes of the match.
Insane.
Dude, it was massive. Disco got very vertical, held it tight. Like, I'm starting to appreciate the guy receiving it and like the effort he puts into the move. But he held it up there for a little longer than you would expect, given how small he is. Looked really good. Gets a 2 count, starts working into several holds, clearly showing his strengths being the holds. Another big brain buster, more holds, and then he gets into like this real big ankle lock kind of thing. And so this kind of Dean's working the left leg and knee the whole time. More holds that I don't know the name of. One was I called it like a prone leg hook with a crossface.
Oh, the STF. That was an STF. Yeah.
What's the STF stand for?
I don't know. I don't know.
Stands for either.
I think Dusty actually called it an FTA.
Yeah, so
He's like, that's a little bit of an FTA.
but it's a good visual move. Like, clearly,
Yeah.
it looked
John Cena
cumbersome and like that probably hurts. Isn't until about 8.5 minutes into the match that Disco finally gets some offense in.
Yeah, it was completely one-sided.
And again, it was like wrestling and holds and stuff. What do you got, Cookie?
Step over, toe hold, face lock.
Oh!
That makes sense.
Yeah.
STF.
I feel so stupid now. I didn't even know
too.
that.
I do too.
So John Cena, that was his finisher, was the STFU.
Okay.
When he did it. Though.
But I mean, essentially, you're laying on top of a guy who's laying on his stomach, and you're bending his leg up. That's locked in, and then you come in across the face with it.
Face up.
But finally, Disco gets some huge right hand punches in. Gets a massive clothesline, big slam onto the top rope. Dean's like
the stun gun.
Is that what that's called?
That's called a stun gun. I love that move.
It was Stone Cold's old finisher move.
Oh, okay. Did not know that. See, there we go. Now he gets. You guys are gonna make fun of me, but it's a forward slam thing that looks like a bulldog without the running. What is that?
Cutter?
Oh, Disco did it?
Yeah, it was.
Disco did a spinning neck breaker.
No. It was essentially a bulldog, but he just wasn't running at him. He just hit it.
I don't know. He did a couple neck breakers. He worked on
I'm
Malenko's neck.
getting to the damn neck breakers.
Oh,
man.
sorry.
Anyway, Disco's brawling. Disco gets tossed out of the ring, slammed into the barrier, which looked really soft. If I was Cookie, I would call it a botch almost.
Oh, that's a botch.
Yeah, like,
I got a botch in
yeah.
here,
Cookie
wait until my segment.
Cookie would not have been happy with it because it just kind of like slightly fell into the barrier. But then Dean gets a pretty decent kick to the back of his head. More ground game by Dean. Dusty calls what looked like to me like a seated abdominal stretch. He said, "Oh man, he uncling him," and I'm like, "Is that a name of a move, or is he referencing like that's what an uncle would do to kids?"
No. When you get somebody to give up, you say uncle.
Ah,
He's trying to get him to give up and say uncle.
But yeah, Dusty was, "Oh man, he uncling him now." I love it. I loved it. Finally, so Dean's doing a bunch of work. Disco finally gets another round of offense in. Dean goes for this ring post move, but Disco blocks it, counters it into a neck breaker, into a back body drop, then another neck breaker. And this is where, like, and they've been alluding to it a couple times earlier, but, like, Disco, I guess, apparently would, like, fluff his hair, do a little dance before he pinned people, and this is where they're going, why isn't he trying to pin him, blah, blah, blah. So, anyway, takes a little too much time. Dean kicks out.
And I like Disco. You can talk as much crap as you want to about Disco. During this match, the internal conflict of him was very visual, and it told a really good story.
Well, he wanted to win, but he also wanted to be himself.
Right, but with Dean Malenko, you have to kind of play.
You got to be, yeah. And so the commentary was like, man, he needs a manager. He needs a manager. And then I think Tony or Dusty made fun of Bobby, and they're like, yeah, you're going to be in the locker room before this match is over.
Right, yeah.
Which I thought was good. I don't know if anything ever happened with that, but it was funny. Again, we get some more back and forth. Dean gets a double arm position. Looks like he's going to go for a pedigree, but does this like weird toss
it's a
power bomb.
It's a double
thing.
underhook power bomb.
Dude, that was awesome.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
great.
And then he gets into a Texas Cloverleaf. Dean gets the tap out. That was awesome.
So your first impressions of Dean Malenko?
Is he's tiny.
He's tiny.
But
so what's your second impression? Like, how do you think he looks in the ring? He's now a producer for AEW.
Okay.
Do you think he's going to be a good hand to tell these kids how to work a match?
I think he's an excellent. I mean, it was great, kind of psychology back and forth. Great actual, like almost true to it wrestling, like not just like ground and pound wrestling, but like actual wrestling kind of stuff with the moves, the holds, the finishers. Kind of slowed it down, picked it back up a couple times. I thought the whole match was like a counterculture cruiserweight match. Like, you think cruiserweights, you're thinking high-flying flips, all this sort of crazy stuff. The only time they went off the top rope a couple times, and it was always into like a slam or like a leg drop or some kind of like power move, strike move, not like a weird kind of flippy thing.
Right. I think was it Disco? One of them did a double axe handle, which is just you're jumping off the top ropes with your hands this.
Dean did that, yeah.
And Disco blocks it, and that was like one of the only high spots of the match.
And so I really, because seriously, especially nowadays, you think cruiserweight, you're like, all right, 205 Live, like, these guys are going to be doing some weird, crazy stuff, and it was just very true to a wrestling kind of match, which was kind of nice. So that's kind of what I would say about Dean. I got a couple other final thoughts.
All right, yeah, I want to hear those.
Again, we already alluded to it. Dusty is amazing on commentary. I wish I would have been a fan when Dusty was alive.
I love Dusty on commentary. Dusty and Booker T, I feel like, are two of the same people on commentary. They don't know a lot of holes, but they're funny. Yeah, they make you have a good time.
It's almost like me playing rugby, where I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I know how to play rugby, but I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Exactly. Yeah. Like Booker has no clue what the fuck's going on, but he's gonna make a joke out of it, and you're gonna have a good time.
So it's good. At one point, I think it was Tony said thwart. And Dusty could have swore he said fart. And he's like, wait, what would you say? He's just such a lively person. I wish I could have been a fan when Dusty was alive. A couple other things. No grown man should ever have shake your booty on his pants. It just totally,
I agree.
Your heel and but come on, man. And something we didn't talk about. I like refs in bow ties, not stripes.
Oh, and also, so I took away, I was looking at this, and I think Cookie and Mike have the same referee, not Randy Anderson.
Not Randy Anderson. Thank God. I like Randy, but
Randy can do better than
yeah, Randy could. Yeah, but I like that it looks like a boxing referee.
What, can I give you the punchline?
Give me the punchline.
This referee's also named Randy.
Of course it is.
Well, this Randy, I mean, I like this. Maybe I'm just not a fan of ref bumps or something like that, but I like that the only thing I noticed about the referee was that he had a bow tie on. It wasn't that he had a slow count. It was fast. It wasn't bumps or out of the way or anything like that. So he was a referee, and I like that. And that's my match.
All right, so with that, I'm not going to say it. My line that apparently is the buckle up boys of Aaron Varnum. Mike, what is your social media update?
All right, social media. We did very well, both accounts. Tolbert's Instagram's up to 71 followers. And that's by no effort on Tolbert. Tolbert had one post this entire week. And it was
busy. I was busy.
It was a post of him at a brewery in Charlotte.
That brewery is awesome, by the way.
They had a luchador mural.
Man. Yeah, Salute Cerveceria in Charlotte, man. There's a bottle shop downstairs. It's badass. They have a little kitchen. We spent a couple hours in there. Took some bottles home. Took a nice bottle of wine home to the lady after spending a couple days in Charlotte with the boys. But yeah, great brewery. It's in the Noda district. Actually met up with Crane. Had a beer with him there as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's this have to do with your Instagram?
Well, I was partying and there was doing nothing else wrestling related, man.
Tolbert partied one day, posted one picture on Instagram. Got 2 followers though.
Yeah.
You're shoving this microphone in my face.
Sorry, bro.
All right. Twitter, we're up to 90 followers.
Nice.
90. I did well this week.
Nice.
Aaron gives me crap, so I did a little follow back Friday.
Oh, I know.
But it's more like I'm following back like-minded individuals, and when you follow them, they post wrestling things, and you can cheat meat tweet on those wrestling things, which I have started doing, and I've not lost anybody, so that's great. I gave a shout out to our boys, the Revival, on somebody's thing about the New Day possibly having a Clash of Champions match, which hasn't been confirmed yet. Actually.
But speaking of that, Tuesday night they had a hell of a 3-on-3 with Randy Orton and the New Day.
Dude, if they started a faction with Randy Orton, I would that's a license to print money. Honestly, it's great wrestlers, good heels. I would buy a ticket anyway. In general, we did really well on Twitter. We got a couple hundred impressions for most of our tweets and a few engagements for each one, so I really liked it. Our best and worst of the week. Best of the week, ESPN posted a Tim Tebow 32nd birthday post. Tim Tebow is only 32. Makes me feel terrible about myself.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And he's doing all those things. Anyway,
it's because of God.
Well, Tim Tebow might be the closest person to Jesus Christ I think we'll find in our lifetime. Have you guys listened? So I used to hate on Tim Tebow.
I still do.
Yeah. Listen to a Tim Tebow interview, like a Pat McAfee has a great Tim Tebow interview, and you're gonna walk away and go, God damn it, I like Tim Tebow, son of a bitch. And anyway, so the ESPN posted a video of him giving this inspirational, motivational speech and said that it would get you ready to run through a brick wall. And I caught it early. I commented back, through a brick wall or smash through a table. # cheat me tweet, # ECW. 3,200 impressions. Got a couple engagements.
Maybe Tebow should wrestle.
Dude, I'd probably watch that, yeah.
It's never too late for him.
Dude, he's still trying to hit a curveball in minor leagues. He can't do that yet, so might as well try wrestling. Anyway, and then we had a New York Times I'll just read it because I didn't know how to condense it. Anyway, they said with the deadline to qualify for the next Democratic debate 2 weeks away, candidates. I totally fucked this up too. Anyway, they have 2 weeks to qualify, and they're trying to like garner support, right? And I said, what they shouldn't do is start a wrestling podcast because then no one will care about them.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah, self-deprecating. Did well. 1,400 impressions, 2 engagements. We got a comment back for which I commented. He said that these 2 candidates should wrestle, and I said probably get a decent amount of social media attention. That third comment got 1,300 impressions in 1 engagement. So props to the New York Times for that.
I'm sure people that are reading the New York Times, there's a lot of crossover between that and people that listen to our podcast.
Yeah, there's one, and it's me. Worst of the week, self-deprecating humor did not go so well for us. So, on the Follow Friday, somebody basically said, tweet out some podcasts or articles that, think wrestlers would like. And I said, $2 steak isn't bad, except for this week's mic issues. And normally, like, self-deprecating works. I posted a picture of the RVD art that Travis had. Normally, that's going to garner at least a click. So I had the link. I had the picture. 52 impressions, no clicks. No engagements. Wow. I don't know. I'm going to blame the guy that I tweeted on that. So
because he's a loser.
WWE, our dream, won. Thanks for nothing, bud. Yeah, and so I talked about cross-referencing our Twitter followers. I did not do that yet, but there are apps out there, so I may actually go ahead and try.
Coming for you.
I'm coming for you. If you unfriend us, man, or unfollow us, I don't know what I'm going to do yet.
To the Instagram followers, if you unfriend us, I don't care.
Maybe Tolbert's
I understand.
I think Tolbert's resigned to the fact he will eventually go through a table.
We'll have to give a shout out to the real Peanut Butter Falcon, Matt Davenport.
I forgot that I said that yesterday.
Where is Peanut Butter Falcon at?
He's on his journey to become a wrestler.
Should we tell people what the...
No. Because then I will...
We shouldn't even have gone that far.
just Google Peanut Butter Falcon.
Just kidding, I know.
Which I'm definitely going to go see. But anyway, he got his whole family to like follow us on Instagram and listen to the podcast.
Davenport said his mom is now a huge fan of the podcast.
But doesn't want us to talk.
But only the first 10 minutes when we're not talking about wrestling.
She's like, y'all's podcast is great. Just stop talking about wrestling. That's the social media update.
Oh my god.
Our second match. Oh my god, hold on. I actually have to look at the rundown for this because there's so many different names on this match.
Oh yeah.
So for our second match,
there's only one name that matters.
Well, you're right. There is only one name that really matters in this. For our second match, the Strong Style with Cookie, we have got Mayumi Ozaki and Cutie Suzuki against Akira, Hokuto,
and Bull! Nakano! Bull is back, baby. Alright, so Monday Night Nitro, 1995.
Oh my god!
Cookie is excited.
I love Bull Nakano. Bull is back, 1995. The Monday Night Wars were, just starting to heat up.
Wait, what was the date before that? Do you have the date?
Ooh, no, I just know it's 95.
I wonder if this happened before or after Mike's match.
Before.
Okay.
Before. His was 96.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Bash at the Beach, 1996. Hulk Hogan turns heel.
There you go. WCW brought a more international flavor to their brand, and I really enjoyed that because they brought a lot of Japanese wrestlers. They brought Luchador over. So this is a little bit of that taste of the ladies that were a part of apparently JWP, which is the Japanese Women Professional Wrestling, I guess. Tony Schiavone. I know there's not Tony Schiavone. Who else was? Do you know who else was commentating?
Bobby the Brain.
It was Bobby the Brain Heenan that made so many
Oriental. He said Oriental.
Dicey jokes.
It would be very close to what we would call racist in 2019.
Yes, very. Like I wrote down every single one of them. I was just like, oh my god.
He says one point. He's like, she looks good for an Oriental, and
I was like, oh my god. All right. So Bobby the Brain.
Wait. I think also Steve Mungo McMichael.
Is it Mungo?
I think that was the third one.
Oh, I thought it was Tony Schiavone. Never mind.
No. Tony was there. I think it was a 3-man team.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe it was Eric Bischoff. It might have been Bischoff.
Well, I heard Bobby the Brain Heenan throughout that entire match.
Yeah, because he was the one being inappropriate.
It's just completely inappropriate. But anyway, so Bobby the Brain starts off by saying, "I told Bull Nakano not to wear Abe Lincoln's hat anymore."
I missed that.
And then he follows it up by saying, "Did she stick a fork in the outlet before coming out here?" Talking about her trademark hair, which is I guess that this lady uses as much mousse as Walmart could find because her hair just stands completely up.
That's gotta be wax, bro.
You think it's wax? It's oh my god, I don't know how she gets that stuff in there. Anyway, Suzuki and Ozaki take the upper hand first with a double clothesline. Hokuto, I believe I pronounced her name correctly. Hokuto takes control with a running boot to the chest, and then Hokuto takes Ozaki to her corner and just sits atop the turnbuckle and puts her in like a hangman sleeper, which is so fucking cool because she's basically hanging her. She's like choking her out on the top rope, and her feet are just dangling while she's being choked out. And then of course Bull Nakano comes in and just starts ragdolling Ozaki, takes her by the hair and just throws her across the ring 2 or 3 times. And then Bobby the Brain Heenan, this is where he might be a little racist. Maybe a lot of racist.
Yeah.
Because he says she's very attractive in an oriental way. But this wouldn't be the last time he says something that's very questionable. Anyway, Bull Nakano picks her up by her neck. Hokuto jumps from the top rope and clothesline Ozaki like in a Legion of Doom type of style. And then Cutie. Oh, wait, hold on.
Cutie.
It is Cutie.
Suzuki.
Cutie Suzuki delivers a beautiful dragon suplex, gets a 2 count. Cutie goes for a running crossbody and she gets caught in midair by Hokuto and she delivers a fall-away slam, big tag to Nakano. And Bull delivers a leg drop from the top rope that Matt Hardy would be so appreciative of. Luckily, Suzuki rolls out of the way, though, because that's a big girl. Bull Nakano is the biggest girl that's in that ring. She's at least 210, 220. What would you say?
She's probably like 220. But she like carries it well, and like it's not like she is a solid wrestling like body type. It's cool.
Yes, very, very. And but luckily Suzuki rolls out of the way because she would have been smashed if she would have jumped off the rope. Leg dropped her off the top of the rope. But we get a botch. Here comes the botch alert.
Oh my god.
Here comes the botch alert, boys. Suzuki jumps on Bull's shoulders. Nakano stumbles a little bit and Suzuki rolls through and makes a tag. It was like a weird.
I knew you were gonna say
it was a botch. I don't care what you guys say. I still love you, Bull. Anyway, they don't make the tag. Suzuki just claps her hands, which I thought was kind of funny, and then looks at the ref, which is a boss move. Suzuki and Ozaki come in. They use Bull basically as a welcome mat, and they just start stomping on her and marching on top of her. And then they get on top of the ropes and do a double coup de grace, a double stomp from the top rope. Shout out to Prince Devitt, of course. And
wait. So since he doesn't lose in this match, automatically it gets an extra cookie, right?
Well, it keeps a cookie.
Keeps a cookie.
Oh,
Guys,
okay.
This is going to get a 5 cookie rating. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Either way. Spoiler.
Anyway, so Bobby Brain Heenan calls that move the Oriental Heimlich maneuver. Oh my god.
Bobby.
Good god.
The feed would be cut nowadays. Like
Yeah, it would immediately.
Or at least this mic would go mute.
We're having technical difficulties over here.
I'm a racist commentator.
Oriental Heimlich maneuver.
How is that allowed? Anyway,
He was one step away from saying slanty eye.
and then he goes, they're trying to do some physical liposuction on that gut.
I know. I felt bad about that one, man. I was like, man, that's rude.
She didn't even have that button.
She's thick. She ain't fucking fat. Come on, man.
Like Tolbert would definitely fuck. Like, let's be honest here. Like,
you're the one. Like,
I would. Definitely. Anyway, I noticed this once she got up. In the words of Aaron Varnell, Bull Nakano's got a big old butt.
She does.
She got a big old butt. She got a butt.
She's thick though.
Nakano gets the upper hand, delivers a double suplex to both Suzuki, and Ozaki. And it sets up Hokuto, who does a double crossbody and lands on both of her opponents. Hokuto does like a scary spot, and she almost drops Ozaki on the top of her head, like directly on top of her head. But she's strong. She picks her up, muscles her up, and drops her. Gets the powerbomb, 2 count though. Ozaki delivers a beautiful Hurricane Rana, rolls her up, 2 count. Suzuki goes for a clothesline up top, misses, takes out her partner instead, who was holding Hokuto up in the position. Hokuto drops a beautiful Northern Lights, and then it gets back to Nakano, who gets back in, and she goes for a sunset flip, which is basically, somersault pin, but she ain't bringing Bull's big ass down. There's no way. So instead, Bull just drops all her weight and sits on top of her chest. 2 count. Bobby the Brain Heenan says she's bigger than a Honda. She's bigger than a Honda. Good God, he's coming for her neck. Bull goes to the middle rope and gets kicked over the top rope down to the floor by Suzuki and Ozaki. It was the slowest fall in wrestling history, if you ask me. I mean, I went to go grab a beer and came back and her butt was just hitting the apron. It was that slow. The spot was pretty cool, though, but I'm pretty sure it screwed up Nakano's knee. This next spot, Hokuto does a top rope front flip to the floor on her opponents and Bull. The opponents move, but Bull takes the brunt of it. I think most of her weight fell on her knee because she was definitely moving around pretty slowly after that.
Yeah, I think she got hurt, too.
And here comes the worst one from Bobby the Brain Heenan. He says, that was kamikaze right there. I was like, good God, man. Anyway, to wrap it all up, Ozaki and Suzuki are struggling to get Bull's hefty ass back into the ring because her knee is fucked up. Bull hits a double clothesline very gingerly, noticeably limping, and she's favoring that knee. But she tags Hokuto, hits a double drop kick from the top rope. She nails both Suzuki and Ozaki, then delivers a super nasty brainbuster fisherman suplex.
Dude, I love that move.
It was beautiful, but it looked like she was not moving for like a solid minute. And pin Suzuki 1, 2, 3. Bull and Hokuto get the win. I give this match a solid 3.5 cookies.
Good. It was a good match.
It was a nice, solid match. It showcased all 4 girls, and they did some really good wrestling abilities.
I thought it was the right amount of time too.
It was.
Like, it wasn't super long. No. They all got their moves in. They got their spots. It was steady. It was a good match, yeah.
Do you guys think that, like, if Bobby the Brain Heenan was maybe a couple years younger, do you think he would be the old guy that's just, like posting all the really uncomfortable things on Facebook, like, where he just posts, like, a meme and he's like, terrible. Yeah, it's just a terrible social media presence.
Kind of how Jim Ross and Paul Heyman just always retweet like models and like in bikinis exactly and stuff. Like, it's really creepy and weird.
Heyman girl. Oh, that's a Heyman girl right there. Just creepy.
Can you imagine Paul Heyman just fucking anything?
All right, so
God, we're a 3-man band.
4 hour.
My name is Paul Heyman.
Well, if you guys, since this is not a video podcast, you weren't able to just see Cookie's uncomfortable wiggle that he just did with that.
I apologize.
For our third and final match of the evening, I decided to be a little gracious. A little gracious to Tolbert and give him possibly the greatest match in the history of mankind. He has got Hornswoggle versus El Torito in a WLC.
Yeah, and at first I was like, oh, great. But this turns out to be kind of an awesome match. It's a pre-show for Extreme Rules. They used to televise this, right? And they had a countdown in the corner. I remember that. And there's some commercial breaks in there too. So it's a pre-show countdown. And the music hits, and you start hearing the Ole chants, and then you see these 2 figures come out. These 2 luchador, matador figures. What the hell's going on? And yes, that's Mike.
We didn't even talk about the commentary.
Oh, I'm getting that, Mike.
That was before the
yeah. Well,
just let him.
I've had like 3 hours of sleep.
And he has no notes. It's okay. Sorry.
Yeah, it's been a long night. I'm getting to it. Anyway, El Torito has this awesome entrance through the capes, comes charging in like a little bull. Because he is. He's a little bull, man. And he looks amazing. His outfit's amazing. He's got these bull horns. He's even got the scruff around the neck, you know. Yeah. He even has the tail.
He even has a septum piercing.
Yeah, he's got the tail as well. Amazing costume. He hits the ring. He's very acrobatic. The Colognes, is that the name of the Matador group?
Yeah. So the Colognes, I hate the way that. So the Colognes are of the lineage of Carlos Colon. Their brother was Carlito Colon. Carlos Colon ran the promotion in Puerto Rico in which Bruiser Brody was stabbed. Like, we've talked about that before, but his promotion in Puerto Rico, a very, very big deal in the history of professional wrestling.
All right. Well, they give El Torito a little boost up in the ring. I thought it was a badass entrance. And he immediately shows off his acrobatic skills. And you're like, oh, shit, this guy can move. Yeah. All right. And then the commentary. All right. So we've got Jerry Lawler on commentary. Who else? He was a guy, Michael Cole and JBL. Yeah. And then we have mini versions of them as well at a mini.
So it was WBL, Micro Cole, and Jerry Smaller.
Yeah, and I have to say they did a pretty good job of matching them up.
They're at a little commentary too.
Oh yeah, ringside, little monitors, everything.
No. That was appropriate sized monitors.
That was the one thing that made me so mad about this match is that they had regular sized monitors on that table. They could have just sprung for the smaller monitors that you can definitely get. It would have been so much more visual, but instead, I'm really pissed off that there was regular-sized monitors.
But these guys do a wonderful job on commentary. You think it's going to be kind of a joke, but they're actually really good at calling the match. So we have a little ref, we have a little announcer, and well, they're little people, man. That's the PC term. What am I supposed to say?
It's just funny. What was that? What was that country music song, the Itty Bitty?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's all right to
be
itty bitty. What is it? Something big old city.
Had an itty bitty ring announcer.
We have to look that up later. Anyway, so visually, it's everyone's laughing and jeering, having a good old time. Then the music hits in 3MB, which I'm not familiar with. I've noticed a young Drew McIntyre in there as well. Didn't know the other guys.
Jinder
Mahal.
Okay.
And I've got kids. Heath Slater.
Okay. Yeah, all young versions of these guys.
Younger and less yacked.
Yeah.
Less steroids.
Yeah. They come running in, and so I read the group chat of Mike and Varnum bantering back and forth about this match. I hadn't watched it yet. I sat down to watch it. And when I saw Hornswoggle come out, I immediately busted out, like, gut laughing at something Mike said, that he looks like a little AJ Styles.
I said he was a condensed
AJ Styles. And I had to rewind it because I was just laughing for, like, 10 minutes. Because Hornswoggle comes out looking so tough, man, doing his little Hornswoggle thing, man, and his crew behind him. And it's visually, it's hilarious because they just look like a bunch trashy, just shit kickers.
I said Heath Slater looks so trashy. He's got like this shredded shirt and the long like ginger hair.
With like his pants had like that Ed Hardy like.
So match starts off. I'm thinking this is going to be kind of like a joke the whole time, but obviously El Torito has some moves. They start off locking up, throwing some punches. The first spot, Hornswoggle kicks himself in the head. Goes for that. We have a suicide dive that's noteworthy from El Torito, actually taking down all the members of 3MB. And then Hornswoggle attempts to do a suicide dive, but he gets caught in the middle rope. And it kind of just catapults him back, which I thought was great. We have some chair spots pretty early on.
What kind of chairs?
Well, I'm getting to it, man, because there's where you got to be.
It's just where you gotta be.
I've got to make a point how good at El Torito is at selling the chair spot, right?
Sorry, I apologize.
He goes for the curtain and he pulls out a regular sized chair. He's like, no, this won't do. He throws it, and then he searches. He's digging. He's selling it, and he pulls out the weeest little chair you've ever seen.
It was like one of those chairs that you would sit in Sunday school when you were little, like at the little table.
Yeah, it's the tiny chairs that they have in like little preschool.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm wondering, like, where did they get that perfect little folding chair? Anyway, he holds it up. The crowd goes wild. They love it. At this point, Hornswoggle is humped in the turnbuckle.
Humped?
Well, it just slumped over in the turnbuckle.
Oh,
So,
slumped.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, because I thought maybe the Bronco Buster that he does.
Well, that's what's coming. That's what's coming. So he sets up the chair. Amazing hop off the chair, like handstands into just an amazing Bronco Buster on Hornswoggle. The crowd loves it. Then we start getting some action from the other wrestlers outside the ring. They're locking up. We have some chair spots. We have some table spots. And Hornswoggle eventually gains some momentum, and he starts calling for a ladder. So his teammates, they pull out this tiny little like 2-step ladder. Right? Crowd goes wild. They love it. He sets it up. It's not big enough. So he calls for the second ladder. They bring out just a slightly bigger ladder. Slightly bigger ladder.
That's what they needed.
There's some more running around, and then we lead up to the final ladder, which is it's a pretty big ladder, and he climbs up to the top. I'm thinking he's gonna go full swanton, like Hardy Boys right off the top, but he goes for a splash. El Torito dodges it, misses. Leads to a little more wrestling. This leads to what would you call that over the top rope? I guess like a Bronco Buster-esque through the table. Puts Hornswoggle through the table at the end of the match.
I don't know what.
Oh, it's like a.
I don't know, huge.
You skipped the ring bump or the chair spots from Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre.
I said there was chair spots and shit. Just go watch the match.
Let's go watch.
Oh, he's over. He's over the match now.
This is where the lack of notes came in.
So there was also a spot where I think so they start eliminating the bigger competitors in this matchup that are not really competitors that are there. I think one of my least favorite things about it is they didn't somehow work in, the commentators didn't work in the famous Jim Ross call. They could have said, "Oh my God, as God is my witness, he is broken in fourths." I was so disappointed they didn't say that. But they did make a couple other jokes where they said that they get their WWE network at half off.
That's good.
Yeah, he said they get it. Yeah. And he said like $4.97 or $4.98. It was something random. So sorry, Mike. I forgot those chair spots. There is one ref bump I forgot to mention that I was really worried about the ref, and it was very yeah. It was
6'5",
yeah,
pound man hitting
slamming the little ref. It was very early on in the match too, and I didn't think he was gonna come back from it at first.
We watched the match before you got here. None of us think that was actually supposed to happen.
No, it was
Yeah, complete mistake.
He goes flying.
Yeah, you see him recover, and then you see him like getting back into it, but like
and later on,
holding his head.
Later on, he goes for a pin, and it's like 1, 2. And you're like, dude, that guy's
Yeah, he got a concussion. He got a
definitely
concussion.
concussed.
Anyway, but this match, it turned out to be great. There's a lot going on. Like I said, there's a lot going on with the big guys outside the ring. A lot of interference, stuff like that. But it leads to some awesome spots from the smaller guys. El Torito finishes the match with this huge, just flying Bronco Buster-esque move to put Hornswoggle through the little table.
It's a West Coast pop.
West Coast pop?
The West
West
Coast
Coast
pop.
pop.
By 6'1".
Yeah, but it's just he gets a lot of hang time, and it's beautiful. That ends the match.
Whoa! You can't skip over my guy Drew McIntyre in the coolest spot of the match.
What was that?
Well, the coolest spot of the match is when he does something that's definitely out of character.
He doesn't do it.
He does do it.
No, he doesn't do it.
Oh, he never does this ever. That's why he's a psychopath. So what he does is
There's one reason.
he does basically a running somersault over the top rope, outside, hits the table, goes through it. It's super cool to me. Maybe it's just me. Okay, whatever.
I thought it was cool.
I tried.
So I thought it was cool that Drew McIntyre did it because clearly Drew McIntyre doesn't do that sort of thing.
He's a psychopath.
He's a psychopath. Part of it is I think he was so much smaller back then.
Yeah, he was.
He was lean.
Dude, but to see how tall is Drew? 6'5", 6'6"?
Oh yeah, he's
Like to see a guy do that over the top rope, it got me, excited. But Tolbert, what's your little haiku?
Little haiku. All right, I like that. I like that little segue there, Mike.
Only 2 syllables.
All right, haiku. 2.5. Is that ref okay? Holy shit, little chairs. Honey, we shrunk the bill.
Honey, we shrunk the what?
The bill.
Oh my God! All right, well, there we go.
That make up for my lack of notes.
That's a great haiku. It's got depth. It's got layers to it.
The more that I think about like the last 2 matches that I picked, they were not very politically correct at all. The commentary and everything.
And that's where I was shocked. I said, Aaron, you realize they did this match when it was WWE.
Yeah, it was 2014 when that happened.
That's very surprising that they did so much little kind of thing. But they did it well. I thought they did it.
Yeah, it was like the commentators were good. I mean, it was actually, they were really good, and the wrestling was great. Hornswoggle, he's, he sells well, and he's a great actor. He doesn't really have the moves, but then you throw in El Torito, who's got the high-flying acrobatic moves. He looks great. They complemented each other pretty well. The crowd loved it. They got a holy shit chant. They got this is awesome chant.
Is awesome,
yeah.
I would call it tasteful parody. It was good.
It was a good matchup. I was so excited to give it to Tolbert. I apologized when I gave it to him. Tolbert, I'll give you something. Next week, give me an idea when we decide to pick the matches, and I'll give you a good match next week.
You gonna give me a ICP match?
Oh, you want a Juggalo match?
You guys just heard that, right?
We have not done a Juggalo match yet on the high spot.
They used to have their own wrestling brand, right?
Whoop, whoop. JCW, boys. JCW. All right, well, that wraps up this week's episode of $2 Steak, a pro wrestling podcast / a podcast about baking / a podcast about everything else. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Follow us on Twitter. Twitter.
Wait, there was 2 bulls this week, too. Bull Nakano and El Torito. There you go. Ole! Ole!